Hi, I'm RWoodruff at BISH'S RV here in beautiful Junction City, Oregon. Today, we're in a 2017 27-foot Coachman Pursuit. A nice simple unit, standard propane oven, microwave, small kitchen, and today we're gonna do a really great meal. Tortilla-Encrusted Talapia, homemade mac and cheese, and coleslaw. Nice round meal, great lunch. Let's go over some of the ingredients that we're going to be using. We've got our butter, our flour, and our milk for our cheese roux. And then we have our cheese. And I don't like to use elbow macaroni. It just doesn't hold that cheese as well, and I love cheese. Okay, down here, we've got our Talapia Fillets, our tortilla chips, the seasonings that we're going to be using, our cilantro, egg for the wash, jalapenos, and then I went with a really simple coleslaw kit. It's gonna make a nice, quick, easy meal. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this going. I think I'm gonna start with the tilapia, get it ready. So we have 8 portions of tilapia. Tilapia is a really nice, mild flavored fish. It carries flavor very well. It doesn't have a strong fish flavor to it. You can do just about anything with tilapia. Great for fish and chips. It's just not going to carry that fishy flavor. I love it when they have them all individually packaged. That way you get to spend more time with the fish. So we've got our fish all unpacked, okay? And it looks like it's going to be a nice tight fit on my rack here. This is the kind of rack I like to cook my stuff on, because that way it's going to get air all the way around it, and air is hot as cooking. So this is going to help us cook it on all sides. Okay, so let's go ahead and start prepping up our ingredients. We're going to start with our wash. We're going to get our wash ready, and the egg wash is going to help the tortilla flavoring stick to the fish while it cooks. Okay, so we're going to get this ready. We're going to whisk up our eggs. I like to add a little bit of milk. It's going to make it a little fluffier. I use whole milk, 2% milk, and it just seems like you're losing about 98% of it. I deviate from the way a lot of people do it. I'm going to put some of my seasoning in the egg wash, because that way that seasoning is going to be stuck right up against the fish, and then the crust is going to have a lot of the flavor. A little bit of sea salt. Here we've got a little bit of paprika, just a little bit, and this is my cumin. I'm not going to put any red pepper flakes in the wash. That'd be a little bit too much. So now we're going to prepare our breading, and this is the part that takes the longest out of this whole process for the tilapia. We're going to start off with some tortilla strips. The recipe calls for using raw tortilla shells, but cooking in an RV, again, we want to keep it nice and simple. And you put in as much as you think you're going to use. A little too much is great, throw it away. That way you don't have to try to recombine it and get your mixture just right. Perfect! So, if I were at home, I would run this through a food processor. But this is cooking in an RV, so we're not carrying our full kitchen with us. So we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. They used to make this before we had food processors and all that kind of stuff, and this is how they did it back then. That's how we're gonna do it now. Okay, I think we've got this fine enough. Okay, now we're going to add the rest of our seasoning. Here we're putting in our cumin. Put in our paprika, just a little bit there. Red chili flakes. You gotta remember that we're doing about 8 portions, so think about seasoning 8 tilapia pieces. That's how much seasoning you want to put in here. And our salt, we love our salt. I do like the sea salt grinder. I just, personal preference. Give this a nice toss, Get everything combined here. Oh, it smells delicious already. I like a little bit of heat, but not too much. So we're gonna take the seeds out. The seeds are what actually give us the heat. There we go, nice and clean. Got just the best parts of it. I probably don't need 2 of them, but I happen to have 2 of them, so we're gonna use 2 of them. So we've got our jalapenos all cleaned up and ready to be processed and diced up. I'm cutting them into julienne strips, and that's going to make it easier to dice them into small, flavorful bites. So I've got them julienned, long strips. Toss it into the little tortilla chips and our seasoning. Oh, it smells great already. Our cilantro, we need about that much, I think. That's about right. And into the sink. Oh, I love the smell of cilantro. I know a lot of people don't really care for cilantro, but a lot of people love it. I happen to be one of those people that love it. I grow this in my garden too. It's wonderful. It grows like a weed, really, but it carries a lot of flavor and a lot of aroma. So remember, the aroma is part of your flavor palette. And again, if you had a food processor and you could throw this all in the food processor, just dump everything in, hit mush, and you're good to go. So we're gonna give this a toss. I'm wondering if I have enough breading. So you know what that means? We've got enough flavor in there. I'm gonna throw in a few more tortilla chips because I don't think that's quite enough for all those pieces of fish. Let's go ahead, before I add any more tortilla chips in there, let's get that oven preheating. So remember, we're gonna use our long lighter. Take a knee. Figure out where the little pilot light is. Yep, I got my pilot going. Like to be really sure. And we're gonna turn this to about 375. And we're gonna let that preheat. These ovens haven't changed in 25 years or longer. We wanted some more tortilla chips. There we go. That looks about right. Again, we're gonna give everything a nice mush. And we have one more ingredient to add to this. I forgot to show you that I have 2 limes. Lime is really important, I believe. We like to pulp them a little bit, get the juices all loosened up and out of the membrane. And it's just like a juicer. Just cut off the end, slice off the end, and squeeze the juice out. Again, my recipe calls for 1 lime and 4 tilapia, so I've doubled it. Okay, and again, slice off the ends. There we go. You can buy lime in the little plastic tubes and use that. Yeah, no. But for traveling, that does work really nice. Okay, so we've got our lime in there. We've got all of our seasoning in there. It feels a little bit wet, and that's okay. That really is. That just helps it bond better. Now for the fun stuff. We're gonna take our frozen fish. We're gonna get it all nice and wet with our wash. You can see how we don't have it completely covered. I'll get to that here in a minute. This is what we have left. And we're gonna take this and we're just gonna pat it on here and cover up any of the bare spots and try to use up as much of it as we can. And it looks like I'm going to get all of it on here and not have any waste. I do like that. I do hope this is like the right size. We're gonna have to improvise. So we're gonna transfer it to this and just get them tightly packed in here. I'm gonna make it work. Not ideal. Let's try this one more time. I bet it fits now. I shan't be bringing that back. Okay. So, it's 11:10. That's gonna cook for about 15 minutes. So let's get our water going for our mac and cheese. I put in about half a pan. I don't like to put in more than half a pan because that's when you end up with boil over. And of course, if you put these propane stoves are great, but put a lid on your pan, it's going to get that water boiling a lot faster. Okay, now my down in front center burner, okay, that's this one here, and it says right here on this particular stove, it says high output. Okay, so that's what I want to use for getting my water boiling. And we're gonna let this get to boiling. We're gonna add some salt in there. Here we go. Salt is going to add flavor and increase the temperature of the water from 212 to about 215, 220. It increases the temperature of the boiling point. It works the same way, freezing or boiling. It's why the ocean doesn't freeze at the same level as regular water. So it's going to give us some more heat. More heat is going to give us a better cook. And while we've got that going, let's get our cheese roux ready for the mac and cheese. So a little bit of butter, a little bit of flour. That's going to create our carrier for the cheese. Otherwise, we're just going to have, clumpy cheese. I put in a little more than I really should have. I put in about half a stick of butter. That's a lot of butter for this. It's going to make a lot of cheese roux. Get that butter melted. We don't want to scorch our butter. We don't want to get it too hot. You break the butter into little chunks. It melts a little quicker because we don't want to scorch that butter. We don't want it to turn brown. I got really close to scorching my butter. Now we're going to quickly add a little bit of flour. And I prefer to use the sneaky method. The sneaky method, that's where we sneak up on the thick roux. And I do the same thing with my flour and the same thing with my milk. Oh, I'm making such a mess in this coach. Oh, there we go. So, we've got our good base here going. I want a little teeny bit thicker. There we go. You're looking for like the consistency of oatmeal. And now this is more of the sneaky method. We're gonna add a little bit of milk and we're gonna whip this up, and it should come back to about this consistency as we start to cook it all together. Okay, and if you add all the milk that you need all at once, you do end up with lumps. I hate lumps. So we got a nice thick base there, a little more milk. We're gonna just slowly sneak up on this. And we're cooking the flour, actually cooking the flour. Okay. So we've got a nice smooth paste, about the consistency of a gravy. Mind you, a thick gravy, but a good gravy. And I can do the same thing with this for gravy. It's a carrier, it's just gonna carry our flavor. A little teeny bit more milk, and you gotta play with it. You gotta figure out what you like as far as your density. Looks like our water is starting to come to a boil. Now I'm gonna add my noodle to the water. I'm gonna put in about half a box. This is a 1 pound box of Rottini, and we're gonna use about 8 ounces of it. So now we've got our noodles going. Put a roux back on here. That's a really beautiful consistency. I like that. I'm using Sargento's 4-state cheddar. Okay, it's gonna give us some color. It's gonna give us some cheesiness. We're gonna get this all stirred in here. I'm going to put in too much cheese. I'm okay with it. If you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. My wife, my high school sweetheart, she loves mac and cheese. And I can put in 4.5 tons of cheese and she'll say, it's not quite enough cheese. I think she could live on cheese. So now we're gonna heat it, melt the cheese. We're gonna add a little more milk because we're a little too thick. Our noodles are boiling nicely. So now I want to get the cheese melted, get a nice goop. And this is where we have to think about, do we add more milk? As we get this cheese melted, I'm thinking I'm gonna need a little more milk. And I go by for my thickness, I go by what I like. Gotta think about the noodle or the cheese flowing in and around the noodle, so we don't want it too thick. Do not turn your back on it. It'll seize up, which means it hardens in certain spots. The flour gets overcooked. Give my noodles a little stir. That way the water can get all the way around everything, because the water is gonna carry your heat, create the moisture, soften the noodles, cook them up. And personally, I really like my mac and cheese to be more cheese than mac. I've got these really nice pans. They've got this little vent thing on them to let the steam out, to keep it from boiling over. No, it doesn't work. I still have to kick that lid off to the side. Oh my goodness, you can smell that tilapia cooking up down there. It smells delicious. I think we have a really beautiful texture on our cheese roux, our cheese sauce. At this point, we're gonna add some salt. Gonna turn our heat way down now, because we're done cooking it. Now we just want to keep it in a suspended form, nice and smooth. See, that looks like the right consistency, the way I like it. Some people like it thinner, some people like it thicker. I'm cooking it. I get to make it the way I like. A lot of people are going to put an oil, vegetable oil, olive oil, or butter in with their noodles. They say it makes it taste a little creamier, a little better flavoring that way. I don't do that. You're creating a lubricant, so then nothing will stick to the noodles. And I like my cheese to be just absolutely all over these noodles. We're going to strain off the water, get all the water out, because we don't want any water in with our noodles when we put it in with our cheese. Oh, that looks beautiful. That is a nice cheesy looking mac and cheese. Rottini and cheese, I guess would be the right word. Get all that out there. The big reason you want to get it all in the bowl is this is sticky stuff. It's really hard to wash. So you give it a nice gentle toss. Get that cheese all over those noodles. Beautiful mac and cheese. Let's go ahead and whip up our coleslaw. I went with a simple coleslaw bag. It's all in one. Really simple, it's fresh, but you can buy all the ingredients and dice it all up and everything. And in RV, that gets a little bit difficult. I like to just cut off the corner, because that way I can get all of it out. Give it a nice quick stir. Let this set for just a few minutes. Helps get those flavors commingled. There we go. So, really quick coleslaw. Healthy, delicious. Cabbage is actually a really sweet vegetable. A lot of people think it's bitter, but it's actually very sweet. I went to culinary art school for about 3 years. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of different stuff. Won a couple of cooking contests. It was really a lot of fun. When I got out of the Navy, bought a restaurant, and I had an opportunity to own and run a restaurant, and that was a lot of fun. It was an Italian restaurant, and we did a really great pizza. So, you know, I really appreciate that BISH'S gives me this opportunity. So, that tilapia should be fully cooked. Let's take a look. Oh yeah! Look at that. Oh, it smells amazing. We got some nice brown crusting here. It's sizzling nicely. So, here we go. Tortilla-encrusted tilapia, coleslaw, and really cheesy Rottini and cheese. I'm RWoodruff with the BISH organization here in Junction City, Oregon. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. Y'all have a great Memorial Day weekend, or whatever day it is. Thank you.